Alright, and we should be recording now. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Isabel Knight. I am a teen writer and middle grade fantasy author of the Enchantria series. And today I am super excited to have with us here another special guest. Everyone please welcome Lauren Ennis, the author of A Boy's Best Comrade.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah. So to start us off, could you introduce yourself, your books, and how you got the idea for A Boy's Best Comrade?
Sure. So I kind of have a weird writer journey. I'm sure most people that you interview are more like yourself and started out early on knowing that they had a passion for writing. I'm always late to the party, kind of the story of my life. So I had written some poetry in college, and I'd always loved books, loved movies, loved stories. But honestly, fiction always intimidated me. So, minus like some gummy little things when I was a kid that, never got beyond maybe one or two pages, I'm going to make a Star Wars knockoff at age 8. Because every 90s kid or 80s kid would have done that, right? I mean, true confessions time. But yeah, it wasn't until college when I was in drama club and we had this professor who was running the club who kept saying, someone needs to write the LaSalle College play. Somebody needs to write this. And at the time, I'm thinking it's this, random little liberal arts college in the middle of New England that I had never heard of, except they had good scholarships. So I'm thinking, why? What has ever happened here that is worth writing about? And there was a lot of, George Washington once slept here kind of things and, random little anecdotes. Oh, this one celebrity passed through town once. And then he's giving this whole crazy list and we're all just sitting there like, yeah, okay. Until suddenly he drops, total mic drop. Oh, and then there was a Nazi spy who used to teach here. Come again. So that's it. I'm like a dog with a bone at this point, and I go down the school archives and find all the records that there really was a Nazi spy who taught at our college and was trying to indoctrinate all the students with propaganda, and the FBI actually showed up to campus to take her away. And she was held in an internment camp under the FBI's watch, but she just charmed all the guards. So then when it came time for after the war for everybody to actually get prosecuted, they were just like, oh no, ma'am, you don't belong in a place like this. Carry on. So she just got off scot-free and opened up a dance school of all things. So it was absolutely outrageous story. So I wrote a kind of like if you've ever seen a 1930s or 1940s B movie. It was that. It was that level of everybody talks like Edward G. Robinson. Yeah, see, we got some spies up in here. It was that level of just ridiculousness. But your first time out of the gate, you can be forgiven for being a little off the rails. So after that, I just got addicted to writing. So then I took a screenplay course in college, wrote a bunch of screenplays, wrote a bunch of plays, tried one novel, and learned that I will never ever be a pantser, no matter how romantic it sounds. So it never got finished. And then for Boy's Best Comrade, I decided to finally give novel writing a try again because of all the random things I happened to see. I'm a crazy dog lady, full disclosure. I treat my dog like a furry kid with 4 legs. And there's a 365 dog facts calendar that I get every year. And one day on the fact of the day was, did you know that there are packs of stray dogs that have taught themselves how to use the metro in Moscow? And it was not just to jump on and off. They commute. They follow the same route every day, like people, and they just chill out. You can see documentaries on them. There's videos of them sitting up on the seats like people, and no one bats an eye at them. They're just part of the culture. And they run little scams. They've taught themselves how to run little con artist jobs where they'll send the little cute ones out to act like they're sick or they're hurt and, beg and whine and throw themselves on the ground until someone gives them something. And if that doesn't work, then the big ones come out to just scare people and bark at them until they drop something. And you can watch that they've done experiments where they put little cameras on their collars, like little body cams, and like little almost like those collars they put on like wild animals. You see the National Geographic thing, and there they are off running their scams, going off to commute in and out of the city every day. So I just kept thinking, someone's got to do something about that. Someone has to write a story. It's too outrageous not to. And it reminded me so much of all those old school Disney or Don Bluth cartoons that I grew up with as a kid. But I kept thinking, well, if no one's going to do anything with it, I mean, I would think, oh, it'd be a great cartoon. I can't draw to save my life. And right. So out of luck on that. No graphic novel, no nothing like that. So I'm thinking, well, what can I do with this? It keeps bugging me. I'm there, driving into work, stepping into the shower, thinking about these crazy commuting dogs. So then I finally just said, well, I guess if it's a novel, I don't have to worry about casts or sets or CGI or anything like you would for a screenplay. And I just went in and hoped for the best, went in with just one small goal, that was finish it. And as long as I could do that and prove that I could finish it, then I would feel accomplished, and then just take it from there.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I really love how you got inspired by that, because that is really crazy. Like, I did not even know that. I think after this interview, I'm definitely going to have to go and look up those dogs.
Absolutely. I think there might even be a video game on them now,
Oh my.
where you get to go and play, and it's like little cartoon dogs with the little furry hats that you always see in those Russian movies, and they're running around stealing things. It looks like an old Nintendo game. It is hilarious.
That is so cool. I never would have thought of like dogs just commuting there. Just like commuting and running little scams.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it is the stuff that cartoons were made for.
It really is. And, I really love historical fiction. It is, like one of my favorite genres. And so your book is set in Moscow, Russia in 1938. And so what made you want to, choose that specific time period, and how did you go about doing the research for that?
Sure. Well, I have a weird obsession with Russian history and Russian literature. Big Tolstoy gal, Gentleman in Moscow. Oh my goodness, Be Still My Girlish Heart. Such a great book. But so beyond that, I've always had a fascination with how do people survive in a society where they're under surveillance or where they're being forced to conform? How do you hold on to yourself in a world in which that's the most dangerous thing to be? So I've always gone back to that theme over and over in my work. So to me, it was a perfect opportunity where it was already a Russian setting to be able to merge those two loves together with the history, because I've always been a history nut. I majored in history in college too. And plus, I mean, when I was a kid, we really didn't learn anything about the Soviet Union or the Cold War or Stalin's purges. We learned a decent amount about Nazi Germany and the Holocaust, thankfully, but otherwise we mostly just were restricted to the American Revolution and the Civil War. So to me, I jumped at the opportunity to be able to share this passion with, that weird kid like me out there.
Yeah, I really like that. And so, like, how did you go about doing the research for that specific time period?
Well, like I said, I've always had a passion for Russian history, so a lot of it I knew the basic bare bones, but the devil's always in the details. Definitely the hardest thing was to research the streets and the metro stations themselves. because when you look them up online, you'll see these amazing images of the modern Moscow Metro. It has chandeliers and these gorgeous paintings, and they always showcase this. But then you realize that that's more stuff that came from the 50s on. And then you think, oh, okay, so you have to go back. But then a lot of the stations changed names over the years, depending on who was in power, depending on what was going on in the country, or they would change locations, or, oh, this one got shut down, this one flooded. So trying to keep up with all of that and keep up with the constantly changing street names, and to do all that with language that bears no resemblance to English, that was tough. For sure. There were nights I would just melt down thinking I'm never going to be able to get this right. But
Yeah.
it was worth it in the end. I was, again, I was a dog with a bone trying to get every little nitpicky detail down.
Yes, definitely worth it if you finish that book, which, I really love that book, so I am very glad that you powered through and finished it.
Thank you so much. You have no idea how much that means, especially to hear that from somebody who's actually in the target age range. So, so exciting.
Yeah. And, I really loved Sasha's character, and most historical fictions I read are told from the perspective of a human. And so I thought it was, really, really cool to get to read a historical fiction that was told from the perspective of a dog. And so, didn't you ever struggle with writing from the perspective of a dog?
Definitely, because it is kind of a tight needle to thread, because it's how much do you really want to anthropomorphize to them? Do you really want to go full on, let's say, talented Mr. Fox, where they're essentially just people with fur? Or do you want to get it so it's something more like maybe a Watership Down, or more like where they're so much more like animals and they don't refer to things in the same way that we do? Or you could even do more like the Red Wall, which is sort of a weird thing in between. So I try to focus on keeping it consistent. That was my main thing, was if I'm going to find one level of how human I make them, I've got to stick with it across the board with all the animals. So again, big movie gal. I went to 101 Dalmatians a lot, would rewatch that and see how that was done, see how Oliver and Company, see how all those old school classics. And with Sasha, it was great because when I was trying to come up with a main character, I kept thinking, well, what's a good Russian name for a dog? What could I use? Oh, then I think to myself, I have a dog with a Russian name. What am I thinking? So I just based the character entirely off her and her mannerisms and how skittish she was when we got her, and how her personality is now, and mixed that with Mrs. Brisby from The Rats of Nim, that sort of nurturing caretaker, in over her head, but still so brave at the end of the day kind of a character.
Yeah, I really love that. And that was actually like part of the next question, which is was Sasha's character inspired by any real dogs in your life?
And all the dogs actually were. Mishka is based off my sister's dog, Ruby. She's always into something. And like Mishka, the part when she's stealing the ice cream from the little kids, that's Ruby. Anytime you have food, she will find a way to get onto the table, or put out the tongue like a lizard, and your food's just gone. So that was a lot of fun, being able to incorporate all those little quirks and personality traits.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you were able to base a lot of the dogs in the book on dogs in real life. I feel like for me, I always struggle with basing characters I write on people in real life. Although, I mean, I guess it might be, I don't know, might be different since you were basing a character in your books on a dog in real life, but I always just struggle with basing my characters on people in real life, just because I don't know, I feel like I just prefer to write my characters from scratch, and then like if it's just kind of, I don't know, strange to write a character based on someone in real life.
Oh, definitely. And I get it because it feels awkward and you feel like, ooh, is this too personal? Am
Yes.
I overstepping my bounds on this? And plus, then you're thinking, oh, am I not being original? So, what do they always say though? The best writers, steal a little bit from everything they know. So I'm taking from my real dogs in my life, mixed with, like I said, 101 Dalmatians or Ratsanim or Mishka has a little bit of or a lot of Dodger from Oliver and Company in her. So you take little bits and pieces and you start with that kind of broad character and then you just make it your own. But I mean, kudos to you to be able to come up with something whole cloth. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks. I have a friend who said once, I believe, something along the lines of writers are magpies, which I think is very, very true. Very, very true. We just steal little bits and pieces from like everywhere.
Oh, definitely. What is it they always say? There's nothing new under the sun, but it's just taking something and putting your own twist on it and telling it in that unique way that only you can do.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite character in the book? Or perhaps a favorite scene?
That's a hard one because it's kind of like picking your favorite kid almost, right? I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, definitely Sasha's based off My Girl, so of course, and Mishka's just so much fun to write because she's so outrageous and over the top. But yeah, it's a hard one. And then I love that Vanya is kind of like a curmudgeon with a heart of gold, so you can kind of put that kind of like grumpy edge in there, and that's always fun to play up that dynamic of oh, but you're a real softie.
Yeah, definitely. And do you have like a favorite scene in the book?
Um, Maybe the chase scene at the zoo. It was a lot of work and a hard one to write, but it was definitely a fun one to put down. I love that one. I love the scene where they're in Vanya's apartment and having that heart to heart about where are my parents going to come back, and when Vanya sort of sits him down and talks about how being a good Russian and being a good Soviet aren't necessarily the same thing, and shares a story about his wife and about how the people that we love aren't necessarily gone, that as long as we honor their memory and keep them with us, they'll always be alive.
Yeah, I really loved that scene as well. I feel like I always just love like the heartwarming, like heart to heart moments in books.
Absolutely.
And what does your writing process typically look like?
So I've tried a few different things, but I learned the hard way that I have to outline. Otherwise, I just get lost in the weeds. So for this one, it usually starts with some kernel of an idea, like a scenario. So for this one, it was dogs commuting on the Moscow Metro. And then it's okay, well, why are they there? What are they doing there? Who's going to be our gateway character to get us into that situation and that kind of thing. And then it kind of develops from there. And from the, outlining that basic scenario and the first, 3 or 5 characters, then I do maybe 10 or so beats, point A to point B. And then as I go, I get a more and more detailed outline. And as I'm writing, I get a more detailed outline. Definitely not as romantic as the Discovery. I tried that, but I'm such a type A personality. I need that security blanket of knowing what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, every writer has like their own different process and such. Like for me, outlining does not work at all. It sometimes works if I have a few things that I just need to clear up and some things that I already know that just need to like be organized a bit. But yeah, I think writers, they each definitely have their own different writing process. And I myself very much enjoy getting lost in the weeds for some reason.
And
Just
that's awesome. And that's awesome that you've already discovered that about yourself.
yeah, like I think for me, I just getting lost in the weeds. I always feel like it just feels like wandering like this wonderful like woodland forest, and I'm just going like, ooh, there's a path here. Maybe I should go down that. Ooh, there's another path here. I should go down that. Oh, hey, there's a really, really dark tunnel and a really creepy mountain. Let's go there.
That is lovely. It's what is it that Thoreau always said? To take the path less taken.
Yep.
It's got like a little bit of a Dead Poet Society ring to it. If you have you ever seen that movie?
No, I have not, but I have had so many people, I've heard so many people talk about it.
Oh, it is amazing, and it's Robin Williams at his finest. Can't recommend enough. Oh,
I shall
tear
have
up thinking about it.
I shall have to check it out. And how much did A Boy's Best Comrade change from the first draft to like the final published version?
It changed a little bit as it went along, like even from the initial outline stage to the next stage, because initially I was thinking that the ending would be different, but then I thought, that's not realistic enough. It's got to have a little more pathos, a little bit more of a hit to it. Or I'm thinking, like, I had this one scene I was obsessed with that I had from the beginning, that it was going to be all the dogs celebrating Christmas illegally in the subways. And I was in love with this scene. I'm like, oh, it's going to be so beautiful, this underground thing. And it's, you can read it to your kids at Christmas. And then I got through the outline and I'm trying to write it. And I'm just like, this scene has no point. This doesn't belong here at all. They're running from the dog catcher, the dreaded Okrata. They don't have time to be doing Christmas presents. What am I thinking? So little things like that along the way.
Yeah, I always have like those little fun scenes, and like they're so much fun to write, and you really want to write them. And I feel like for me, whenever I come across those scenes, I just write them anyway, and then I just cut them from the book, and then just file it away in my, what's it called? I think my dead darlings folder. The phrase "kill your darlings."
But that's cool, because then someday you can make, oh, here's my director's cut.
Yeah.
Here's the deleted scenes version.
Yeah, or like I have a blog, and so when it's Christmas, I'll just be like, surprise, deleted Christmas scene or Halloween scene or something, and just put it out there.
Oh, and people do that all the time now, and they'll just be like, oh, it's our little spin-off. It's the extended universe.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah. And, for this book, I really loved the ending. And I won't say exactly what it is, because spoilers for anyone who has yet to read it. But it is one of those endings that I honestly have no words for, and just, I really loved it. And so how did you come up with the ending for this book? And did you always know that that was going to be the right ending?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that. Well, like I said, it initially was going to be just sort of a straight up conventional happy ending. And then I was thinking, it's Soviet Russia. You can't have that. It wouldn't be a Russian novel if there's not some bittersweetness. I mean, that's what they're famous for. So then I was thinking, well, this is, I don't have the heart to go full old Yeller. I can promise one spoiler I will put out there: no dogs were harmed in the production of this book. I promise.
Good.
Because that's what I hear from everyone. They're like, I can't read your book. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't even want to try? No, I can't read sad dog books. No, old Yeller traumatized me as a kid. So I can promise we don't go that route. But yeah, where I got the inspiration for that from was Casablanca, if you ever saw that. Big Casablanca, big Humphrey Bogart fan, that sort of classic, you got to do something for the greater good.
Yeah, I love that. And I am glad that you mentioned that, because I feel like a lot of readers, a lot of people I do know, like, they do not like sad dog stories either. Like, I believe there was, what was it? Like a really sad movie about a dog. I think it was called Hachi. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is very, very, very sad. And it basically traumatized some of my friends.
Oh, that'll destroy you, that one. That's the Richard Gere one, right?
I don't know. I only
the dogs at the train station in Japan, and oh yeah, that one's a gut punch.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I was like 8 or 7 when I first watched that, and I
Oh no. Oh no, no, no.
and then
Oh gosh, no.
I don't at that age I did not cry at movies. I would sometimes rejoice at the happy ending or clap when the villain was defeated. And there's no evil villain about to destroy the world in that movie, and it was just so sad. And I remember at the time I was just watching that movie and just kind of hiding behind the coat stand and kind of sobbing at the ending.
Oh
And
yeah, same here. I was never a movie crier till I saw The Yearling, and I'm sorry, I do not recommend that book or that movie to anyone for that reason. It makes Old Yeller look tame.
oh no.
It's
Yeah.
like that, every kid has that first thing, whether it's Bambi's mom or Littlefoot's mom or Mufasa. Oh, so I
Yeah.
didn't want to do that. I was like, nope, I can't. I didn't like when they did it to me. I don't want to do that to anybody.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like there's a sort of like unspoken rule. Well, it's not a rule, but it's something that I feel like I've heard a lot of writers say, and it's just whatever you do, you can kill masses of people in like this great war between good versus evil or something. But whatever you do, don't kill the dog.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why the famous screenwriting book is Save the Cat.
I did not even realize that until you said it, and now, oh my.
Because it's the ultimate way to redeem. You can have the most heinous, horrible human being as your main character, or any character. But you see them save that cat, and you're just like, oh, he's not all bad. He's misunderstood. He's been through some things. Meanwhile, like mass armies of people behind him that are just decimated, and you're like, oh, now he had his reasons.
Yep. And this is a very sneaky question that I basically ask almost every writer I meet, and that is, do you have a secret pen name that no one knows anything about?
No, I never had any pen names because honestly, I'm kind of shameless. So, I mean, I'll even do karaoke under my real name. And plus, I never thought of one that really felt right, or that was, because you try and you find a lot of people try to find ones that sound really clever and very literary and very fancy, but then they don't really fit the books that they're writing, or it doesn't fit the genre that they're in, or it just sounds kind of like you're trying too hard. Plus, I mean, now I guess I could probably find something like, Natasha Rostova or something like that. But, before that, I was just doing screenplays from all over the world. I mean, I don't even know what I would have picked for a pen name for those. They were all so random and scattered.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that because, like, I I would say pen names are definitely not for everyone. Like, I definitely agree with you on, like, some authors have a pen name that does not fit, like, their books. I believe my own pen name, I kind of went down just a rabbit hole of names trying to pick my pen name. And I had a pen name before my current one that I believe I published like my book under, and then I unpublished it and revised it and then republished it under like a different pen name, and I'm not going to say what the previous pen name was, but it did not fit my genre at all.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing though, is that you can kind of mix and match. I mean, it's not like getting stuck with a plain old name your parents stuck you with, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, if you have more than one, keeping up with them, that must get exhausting. But
Yeah.
well done, because you've got one that can go across any old genre. Like that's one that kind of fits everything.
Yeah, and like I believe there was like this science fiction anthology I was in, and I thought that like so my short story was like science fiction dystopian set in China in like nine not 19 I don't know I forgot what year it was set in, but somewhere like way in the future where like the entire world was basically destroyed except for like this one city, and I tried to pick a different pen name to publish that short story under until I was like, but what am I thinking? Because like I plan to turn this into a whole novel, but then I'd have to publish that whole novel under an entirely different pen name, and like I do not know how I would handle like two pen names. Like it was hard enough to like handle one pen name and then another one. I do not know how I would do that.
Well, then, are you going to be accused of plagiarizing yourself if people don't know that it's the same person? Like, oh, you ripped off that other person's short story. That's not yours.
That would indeed be terrible if
You
it
should
actually
sue her.
happens. And then I'd be suing myself, which I don't think
Exactly.
that's not possible. I think. Well,
That would actually be, you know what? That would actually be hilarious. That would keep all the booktubers talking for weeks. Oh, did you guys hear about the author who tried to sue herself?
it
Create
would
the
indeed.
drama.
It would indeed. And
Oh my gosh. It actually sounds like a really cool short story. It sounds a little bit like Akira. That's awesome.
yeah. And do you have any authors who inspire you and your books?
I mean, I've got so many favorite authors. Like I said, the whole Russian Lit thing. I mean, I love Tolstoy. I love Bulgakov. And then, like I said, Gentleman of Moscow, one of my all-time faves. But for this particular one, Rats of Nim and Charlotte's Web were definitely big. But honestly, even more than books, was a lot of movies. It was old school Disney, and even more than that, it was 80s and 90s Don Bluth movies. If you've ever seen All Dogs Go to Heaven or Anastasia, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I really love that. And last but not least, what is your advice for young writers who want to start writing and get their books out there?
And that's a hard one because honestly, I'm kind of making it up as I go along right now still. But I'd say the biggest thing, because the self doubt's going to creep in. And then once you finally have it, and even when you get the positive feedback, the imposter syndrome takes over, and you're thinking, oh, no, they're just saying that to be nice to me. Believe in your story. I mean, if it hit you for a reason, and it's going to hit somebody else. And make sure that you're having fun, as cliche as that sounds, because it's so easy, especially now where everything's hustle culture and everything's about marketing and building a brand and all this. It's so easy to get swept up in all that and forget why you're doing it in the first place. And that's to have fun and to escape into another world in your own head and to get back to, that first story that struck you when you were a little kid, that first book that just made you go, oh my gosh, books can really be like this, or that first movie that, made you want to go and pretend you were the characters for weeks on end.
Yeah, that is fantastic advice. And I think the part about having fun is a really important one because I really agree with you. Because a lot of the times, like, I oftentimes see a lot of, like author tubers, on YouTube, and it feels like they're inspirational to watch, yes, but it also feels like everyone is just doing so well. Everyone has this brilliant marketing brand or something, and like yeah, like it can definitely sometimes feel a lot like everyone is just doing so well. Everyone has this amazing brand and I don't and such. And yeah, I definitely think it's important to just have fun with your writing or, just step back from being online for like a week or something to just like spend time with your novel.
You are wise beyond your years because it is so hard. I mean, I'm in my 30s and it's so easy to forget that and get caught up in thinking that all the things you see online are real and thinking,
Yes.
oh my gosh, these people are so much more accomplished. They know exactly what they're talking about. Like you said, they have all these followers. They're not even going to have to market their book because they already built up a brand and they know all about all of this. And it's so easy to start going down that rabbit hole and spiraling. And then a lot of times you'll have people who are well meaning but say, oh, you've got to follow the trends, right to market. You've got to do what's popular and you've got to make sure that it sounds like all these other people because they're selling well. And then the next thing you know, you're putting out a book that you don't believe in and no one else is going to believe in either. And you can always spot it when it's someone who's just burned out and just putting it out to put it out. You can always tell when somebody is really there and living the story versus just slapping it out.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. I still get caught up in all of this as well. And yeah, and I do agree with you because you can sort of tell when someone is like not enjoying writing the book. And like as for stuff like write what's trending, write what's in the market. I myself do think, and I've also heard from so many other authors, that like writing for the market changes very, very quickly. It changes in like the course of 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, something. And, writing a book takes much longer than that. Sometimes it can take, well, not as long, like maybe sometimes, not always, but sometimes, very rarely, for me at least, it can take like 1 year to write. But then a lot of the times these projects take very long to write, perhaps like 2 years, 5 years, and by that time the market will have already changed. And so I think it's important to just write what you love and just like trust in it and believe in it anyway.
Absolutely. Like you said, there's no point in chasing trends because you'll never be able to catch up with them in time. And if you are chasing a trend, you're going to sound just like everybody else. So, how do you really stand out in a sea of people who are trying to do the exact same thing? Especially, I mean, all right, I'm going to go full Robin Williams for a second and quote Dead Poet Society. So, we're not laying pipe here. We're trying to write fiction. We're trying to make art. We're trying to do something that speaks to people and that really makes them stop and think and feel. And to do that, you can't be following the blueprint. You can't be trying to lay down pipe.
Yeah, I think that is like wonderful advice. And so those are all of the interview questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I had a fantastic time talking to you and learning more about your book. And to those of you who are listening or watching, thank you so much for listening to this interview. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Lauren's writing process and her books, and I hope you will check out her book, A Boy's Best Comrade. It is absolutely amazing. Like I must admit, as much as I adore historical fiction, I don't read much of it, but out of all the historical fiction I have read, I do think this might be one of my favorites of this year, and so definitely go check it out. You will not be disappointed. You might want to bring a few tissues along because the ending might have made me cry.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on. This was delightful. And congratulations to you on your work and on your series.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I suppose I shall see y'all in the next video. Alright, bye. And
Bye.